Hi, welcome back. So we are at the outline organizing module content. In this outline, there are three important points one must understand, and they are relevant to the previous video that we have discussed. So first, we're going to be looking at the problem with default object creation, and what does that mean exactly? So here I'm heading back to our Essential Visual Studio Code interface. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to open, for example, any of these modules. Let's choose, say, for example, database. And I'm going to be choosing also from e-commerce this runner module. So we have two modules, the runner and another internal module called a database. Great. So what are the scenarios we are dealing with? Imagine the database, I have number of functions or methods or classes or variables that they are running the work affair of a database. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to create simple function. It's not a method belong to a class, but you can do the same example. But let me illustrate what I'm trying to say. I mean, just return this text. Imagine that this is a real procedure. I'm going to define another function called commit. Just return for me this text. For some reason, let's say that I have actually colon connect and I'm calling on commit. So I'm going to back to this module called a runner, and I'm going to use an absolute import from collect package. I want you to import database. That's it. So if I would have to go to a runner here, so I'm going to say Python runner and run. Nothing happened. Of course, nothing would happen. I don't see anything on the screen. What you don't know, there is actually something happen. And let me show you in particular what really happened. If I would have here and put this inside a print, and I'm going to say here from local, and the same exact sentence, I'm going to put that way. If I run this one more time, see what happened. Although I'm running runner, see there is nothing in runner just beside importing this module called database. And here is the problem there. Actually, whenever we use import, either in absolute or relative, make no mistake that actually whatever code is been written here, it will be executed line by line. That's why you're going to be careful. And this is one of the reasons when we spoke about the import, we said, please do not use this syntax, because sometimes you are importing, he's going to read the whole entire functions and methods, whatever they are written inside there. But if we are careful enough to understand this is what's happening in the back end, then our program would be much more efficient and we have a good memory management anyway. So this is one of the issues that many people might miss. That's why I want just to illustrate that to you. Now I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to add here just a normal variable called dbvar, for example. This is a test, I would say. And if I would have just to print and I run my code again, you shouldn't be surprised. Again, he's going to print whatever line by line. Now, I want you to imagine if this is a database module and it's in charge of connecting really to a real database. So connecting to a database, establishing a connection point, it takes time. And sometimes when we import a database interface to our module, if this is the way we style our code, he's going to try to connect in the back end. Maybe we're not going to even use it. So first of all, what I'm going to do, I will assume this dbvar will be initiated, it's fine, but with nothing. So basically there is no connection whatsoever. I'm going to add here a function, I will say it, for example, just to actually connect. Now here is the second important discussion. If I would have to say dbvar here is equal for an action to be, and I'm going to return this dbvar. Now you might think that this dbvar is exactly this dbvar. You're making a mistake. No, it is not. Because basically this dbvar, a local variable to this particular function. So only in dbvar can see actually this variable. That's why in the second point of our discussion is to understand the global meaning and the function on operating on that. And here is exactly the point what I'm trying to say. Before dbvar, we should do something else. So here I'm going to just delete that. I'm going to write global. So what does global mean here? Global implies if this name exists in a global arena out of any dbvar function, I imply that one. So what I want to do, I want to assign a new value to this dbvar. So what happened now, this dbvar global variable will be actually assigned to this. if that happened once again, and just to show you, if I would have to actually, I print the exact same line, you shouldn't be surprised to see now connect because I have initiated that function. So this function will be, its job is to create some work on this variable called dbvar. So let's head back to our actual dilemma here. I don't want this kind of attitude. Once I just import the database, I should hold and bear with all these kind of problems that it's already by default will be actually executed. And that's exactly lead me to the third point in this discussion. And that is the use of something called the name and the main. So what does main and name means anyway? You see this module here, the name of it called runner.py. The module here called database.py. Now when I come to the terminal and I use Python runner.py, I am using the main name of the module. So what I'm trying to say here, Python now is executing this main name of this module. And this inside here, import database, is not considered to be the main. It's considered to be an imported kind of library. So this is the meaning of that particular case. Now, coming back to our problem, what I want to say, I want this 3-line not to be executed even when I import them somewhere else. Now I imported this database and he started to actually execute each one of them. I don't want that to happen. All these can be executed. It's fine. It just load in the memory and be ready to be called whenever I want. But these shall not be executed unless I want to execute or run Python directly on the database module. So if the database module is called for run itself, then execute that. Otherwise, if the database model is imported somewhere else, do not execute these. This is what I want to say. And this is where I want to introduce you to something called if the name is equal to the underscore, or we call the dunder main. I want you to do all this. You see, when I add this line, if I get back, I am in the run again, I imported. Watch carefully what will happen. If I run, nothing would happen. Why? Because now the interpreter moved all the way and he checked what is the name that run Python. He looked, it was not main. It means main, in this case, database. Then he did not execute anything after that. It's a kind of a stop, so to speak. Now let me show you, if I would have to go back here, call on a print, I'll call database and say dot. For example, I would say the comment. I would say the same thing, but this time connect. And one more last time, dot database variable. If I run that one more time, watch carefully, this is from the import file. So now these are executed after I import, but none of these were executed at all. If I would go and open a new PowerShell here, and I reach inside collect, now I am inside collect, and I'm going to run now the database module. Here we go. This is from a local call. Now these are executed because the name now is equal to the main, which means equal to the database. That's what I ran here just now. I can't stress one more time how important this modern package and organizing more content when it comes to work in a real-time project. That was all for the session. I will see you in the next outline.